In the last stream, we set up our Ender crafter over here, surrounded it with Ender alternators, and began working our way through the extended crafting questline. We also got our first quantum compressor, which is going to allow us to begin making the singularities required for the ultimate singularity, and we even got the ultimate crafting table, which is going to allow us to begin crafting the ultimate ingots. Now, right at the end of the last episode, we were tasked with creating a staggering number of bees, and I spent, I think I want to say that about 2 to 3 hours with the Twitch chat live on stream making a bunch of the bees, and then I spent maybe a further hour or two after the stream making even more bees, to the point now where, thankfully, we have got almost all of the bees. We've also got a ton of these elite centrifuges. I made even more of these, and I have changed the way this works a little bit. So we've now got 2 modular routers. Each modular router is set to pull from different apiaries. I've cut the storage drawers out completely, so now these do still have items in. The reason I cut them out is that we were running into a problem where all of the apiary storages were just full because our centrifuges couldn't keep up. And so now, instead of pulling from the massive backlog that we have in these drawers, the centrifuges are only pulling from the apiaries themselves, thus making sure that we're kind of keeping up. The problem we were running into is that we weren't getting a nice variety of products, so we weren't getting like copper and iron and tin and coal. The problem that we were getting is that all of the centrifuges would just fill up with like nickel honeycomb, and then for an hour we would just get a ton of nickel and nothing else, which was not really ideal. And so I've changed it now to where these 2 modular routers are each responsible, I think, for 6 centrifuges. So this one here distributes amongst these 6, and then this one here distributes amongst these 6. And so right now it looks like things are working pretty well. Almost everything is being pulled in, and although these always have comb in them, it looks like we're not really banking up on combs inside of the apiary storage, which is good. And essentially what we've done is we've gone ahead and made all of the bees and all of the nectar blocks. The bees themselves were not particularly difficult to make. They were not the hard bit. Breeding the bees together, especially with the bee box that allows you to instantly turn any baby bee into an adult bee and reset any cooldown, it made making all of the different bees a breeze. The tricky bit is just making all of the nectar blocks, because you got to take a bee, put it into an apiary, wait until it produces its combs, take the combs, combine it with honey and other combs over in the jars, make the nectar block, put the nectar block down, and rinse and repeat, 100 times for all of the different bees that we were generating. But we do now have, I think, almost all of them. The ones that we don't have are here: Awakened Draconium, Dragon Egg, Chorus Fruit, Queen Slime, Manulin, Hepatizen, and Cobalt. The reason we don't have these require items that we don't yet have. All of the other bees were just a case of taking bees that we already have and taking items or combs that we already have and running them through the same process that we've already done a million times. Now we've just done them 1,000,001 more times. So we've got rogue bees like rose gold bees, refined obsidian bees, niter bees, rubber bees. We got everything. If there's a bee that you can think of, we've probably got it. Flux bees. We've got signalum bees here, slime steel bees. We've got refined glowstone, pig iron, end bee. This chorus bee is bred, but it doesn't actually have a nectar block yet, so that's why it's still on the list here. And so today we're going to work on getting these final bees. Mostly, there's kind of 2 categories here. There's the awakened bee and the dragon egg bee. Both of these require that we go to the end and fight the end dragon before we can get those bees up and running, especially with their nectar blocks. The other 5 here require cobalt. So cobalt is, of course, required for the cobalt bee. The hepatizen here also requires cobalt, so you make it by breeding the cobalt bee, and that's kind of true with all of these. The queen slime bee is also made by breeding a cobalt bee, this time with a gold bee, and the tricky bit here is that to get a cobalt bee, this is another situation where we need a cobalt egg. The cobalt bee spawn egg is a block of cobalt with a quartz bee, and so to get the block of cobalt, I believe that we need to get the nether cobalt ore, and the nether cobalt ore here, I believe, is only really obtainable via the Orchid Ignem. This is a flower from Britannia that, when given mana, can convert netherrack into nether-specific ores. If I press U on this, it should show me everything that it'll make. In this case, it's only going to make nether quartz and nether cobalt. These are the odds here, so for every stack you use, it's going to give you approximately 57 nether quartz ore and approximately 7 cobalt ore. We can then take that cobalt ore and we can process that, I think probably ideally through some of our mechanism machines here, into cobalt ingots. We can then craft those cobalt ingots into blocks of cobalt. And then, of course, we can use that to get our cobalt bees, and we can use those cobalt bees to make the remainder of the bees that we are missing. That is the plan, at least. Real quick, before we start making the Orchid Ignem, the whole bee making process, so I did do all of this bee making. We did that maybe 6 days ago now, and the base is chunk loaded. And so we set all the bees up, and it's been like 6 days since then. And so the good news is that over here, we've got a ton of stuff. We have got millions and millions of nuggets. We've also got millions of items, and we've got hundreds of thousands of blocks. We're almost full on a lot of these drawers. I did also make drawers, of course. You'll see we got a ton more of these drawers now. I made these for all of the different new blocks and different new resources that we're getting from our newbies. I believe there's a block for all of them. I think that's all working as intended, and everything on the underside here is still set up in the same way. We've got the item pipes pulling everything out and around to the draw controller. We've got the fluid pipes pulling everything out and mostly around to this fluid trash can here. But we do now have a ton of resources. For example, if we look at iron blocks, we do have 173,000 iron blocks, which is more than we need to make the iron singularity. And so things are looking good on the resource front here. It's just these other resources. I think we're going to have to do a similar thing. We're going to have to get all these bees set up and running and kind of just leave it for a few days to let them back up as well. Because especially in the case of things like the Awakened Draconium block and the Dragon Egg, these have such low odds, 1% for the Dragon Egg, and I think it's slightly higher on the Awakened Draconium, 10% on the Awakened Draconium. These are going to need, 10 times or 100 times longer to produce the same number of resources. But I think what we'll probably end up doing, and I did just sleep to get rid of the rain, and of course the rain is back straight away, but one thing we probably will do, what we've not done with these bees is we've not put down more than 2 of any given bee. So every bee we made 2 of, but they're only in 1 apiary, right? So we have 2 Elementium bees, but they're both in the same apiary. Once we get the Dragon Egg bee, I think we'll probably put maybe 2 Dragon Egg bees into each and every apiary, and maybe do the same for the Awakened Draconium as well, just to maximize the number of Dragon Egg combs and Awakened Draconium combs we can get, so that we can really try and maximize our chances of getting enough Dragon Eggs and getting enough Awakened Draconium to make those relevant singularities. Either way, back over here, let's take a look at that Orchid Ignem. The Orchid Ignem here is made just like other Botania flowers. It helps if you spell it right. This is made in the Petal Apothecary with 2 red petals, 2 white petals, 1 pink petal, 1 redstone root, and then a rune of greed and a rune of pride. So petal-wise, we do have 2 red petals. I'll take that. Then in terms of white and pink, we got 2 white petals, although I would like to make sure we always have more of them. And then we do have pink mystical flowers, so I'll go ahead and take 2 of those as well. Do we have any mystical white flowers? We do. Let me do this, and let me do this, and we'll take 2 of those. Perfect. In terms of the mystical root, this is super easy. It is just 1 grass with 1 redstone. We've got a ton of grass and a ton of redstone, so that is not going to be difficult for us at all. And then we also have the rune of greed and the rune of pride. So I'll bookmark both of these here. I don't think either should be too difficult for us to make. The rune of greed is 2 mana diamonds with a rune of water and a rune of spring. The rune of water, I'm fairly certain we have. We do indeed. It's in our inventory. And then the rune of spring here is water, fire with 3 saplings and a wheat. That seems perfectly fine. Saplings we have, and wheat we have as well. Perfect. How much living rock do we have? Not much is the answer. We do have 3 in our inventory, but we should probably, real quick here, look at getting some more. Again, thankfully, we do have this set up so we can quickly exchange using our exchanging gadget. And then now, back over here, we should be able to go 1, 1, 2, 3, and then it was, I believe, fire and water. It was indeed perfect. That's going to nice and quickly produce the runes that we need. We should probably look at replacing this spreader with one of our elven mana spreaders just to make this section of the craft a little bit faster. But the only thing we're missing at that point is the 2 mana diamonds, which I do in fact have in my inventory here. And then for the rune of pride, we do need a rune of summer, which requires melon slices, which we don't currently have, I don't think, but we can definitely get real quick. Let's just do one of these and one of those. Perfect. There's the rune of spring. Let's throw the rune of spring right back down along with the rune of water. And again, you do get these runes back, which is very nice indeed. And those 2 there. Perfect. So over in here, from a very long time ago, we do have some melon seeds. If we were to, I guess, quickly release this cow, we can then go ahead and pick up the animal seeds, replace those with melon seeds. And I'm hopeful that we can kind of sprint to make that grow faster. We totally can. And I'm hopeful as well that that will result in a melon for us sooner rather than later. Everything else, I think we have in terms of the rune of summer here. We have slime balls, we have sand, we have the rune of earth and the rune of air. We just need that melon slice, at which point making the rune of pride again should just be a case of getting 2 more mana diamonds, which we can definitely do. We at this point have almost 1 million diamonds, which is perfect, although I do still think we need about 140,000 blocks of diamonds, so we're a little shy on what we need in total. But real quick, let's make 2 more mana diamonds. Over here, let's do the same again. We'll do you and you. Perfect. And then let's see, I guess, if we can't get a melon to spawn over here. And not too long later, we have a melon. We did have to put down some dirt either side of it to actually get it to grow. But now that we have the melon slice back over here, let's whack that down. We also need 1 slime ball, which we definitely have. We have got 81,000 of them now. Perfect. Alongside that, we need 2 sand, 1 rune of air, and 1 rune of earth. Perfect. Sand, we've also got a ton of. Fantastic. Let's take that. And then back over here, let's get all of that onto our runic altar. 2 sand with the rune of earth and the rune of air. And, of course, the slime ball. And boom. Nice. Cool. So that's the rune of summer. We then need the rune of summer, finally, with the rune of fire, and 2 mana diamonds. Nice. All right. That should be everything that we need for the Orchid Ignem. I say that. The only other thing we're going to need is we're going to want to get another mana pool so that we can actually have mana in the nether. And we're going to want to fill up our mana tablet here just so that we don't have to set up a mana generation system in the nether. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that this is set to send mana into the tablet, which it is. We'll then throw our tablet down like so. Over here, we'll go ahead and get ready to make this happen, although we do need 1 more living rock if we're going to do that. Did I put some living rock back in here? I did. Let me take this and let me do 1 of these. Boom. Boom. Fantastic. Over here, this is full. Fantastic. And so now, if we were to head on through to the nether, real quick, let's make sure we have some netherrack on us. What we should be able to do is place this down. It's going to be a little tricky just because of the fact... actually, never mind. Hold on, Isaac. You need to make the actual flower first. Back over here, let's put all of the items required into this. So we need 1 pink, 2 white, 2 red, 1 root, 1 rune of pride, and 1 rune of greed. That is everything we need. We then also need a single seed to make this work. That is also fine. We've got over 1,000 wheat seeds. Let's do a quick one of these. Fantastic. And now we can go on through into the nether to actually make this work. And so, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the Orchid Ignem is going to pull from a nearby mana pool. So, for example, if I put the mana pool down, let's say here, we'll go ahead and drop the mana tablet in. By default, that's going to be set to pull mana out of the tablet and into the pool. We then need to go ahead and throw down this Orchid Ignem, which we'll do right about here. That should then, I believe, auto-connect. I think that's connected. If it's not, you can do this and this, and now it is connected. There we go. And then from there, all you got to do is put down netherrack around the Orchid Ignem, and I believe, look at that, it's going to start transforming the netherrack into different ores. Unfortunately, it's pretty slow. Fortunately, the range is quite far. In fact, I think we can even go up here, like this. And I'm hopeful that we get some cobalt. We need to get a block of cobalt at the very least. I guess we do want to get 2 cobalt bees ideally, which means we would need to get 2 blocks of cobalt, although we could potentially use 1 bee to make more cobalt after we have it. The real question is, does the cobalt bee nectar block need cobalt? It totally does. So we need at least 3, potentially 4 blocks of cobalt. And then at that point, it's whether or not we can get a lot of cobalt via the processing of the cobalt, or if we use mechanism. And I honestly don't know if we can. We can double it with the enrichment chamber. I don't know if we have a purification chamber. I don't think we do, nor do we have a chemical injection chamber. And so I think doubling might be the best that we have available to us currently with the enrichment chamber. And then from there, I think it's just a case of smelting that after the fact. So we are going to need quite a bit of cobalt. And unfortunately, the Orchid is quite slow. It does also use quite a large amount of mana to do its job. There's our first cobalt, which is good. But we need a lot more. We can, of course, go ahead and ultimine up all of the nether quartz, and we can throw down even more netherrack to let us keep doing its thing. But essentially, now we're going to go and get more mana from the overworld into the mana tablet, bring that mana back, keep this filled up, and we're going to keep doing this to get even more cobalt ore. All right, so a little while later, this is our 9th, and thankfully for us, final piece of cobalt, because it turns out you can triple, hello my friend, and goodbye as well, you can triple the cobalt ore into cobalt ingots using, if you can get back that is, using astral sorcery. So if we take our cobalt ore and we place it into our auto starlight infuser over here, we should be able to turn each piece of cobalt ore into 3 cobalt ingots. Now, for whatever reason, this is empty. It's possible Actually, it might be probable that this can't be done with the auto starlight infuser. I have a feeling that the auto starlight infuser can maybe only be used, yeah, for this one specific recipe. That is a little horrendous, especially because we used our starlight infuser to make the auto starlight infuser, which means if we want to get another one, we're gonna have to make it fresh. Thankfully, it's not too difficult, especially now we have the altar to actually make this. So real quick, let me get another starlight altar, and we'll quickly replace the auto starlight infuser with the original starlight infuser and then use that to make the cobalt that we need. Boom, and boom. This is done. Perfect. Back over here, we should now be able to do this and this. Now, we might also have to get rid of this. We might also have to get rid of the stuff on top of here as well. Oh, it's so awkward. It's so awkward because I'm fairly certain that the original altar, this one right here, requires access to the sky to actually work, which makes this tremendously unfortunate. But if we clear out some inventory space, I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to pick up what's here in terms of everything. What are we exporting? We're exporting nothing. I think we're supposed to be exporting aquamarine, but for whatever reason, it's not on the list here. We'll do that when we put it back down. We also need to put these cards back in. That's fine. And if we get rid of that pipe and we move the tank temporarily, which thankfully does retain its inventory, I think now this should work. It totally does. Nice. And so all we need to do is that, but multiple times over with our remaining ore to get us 27 ingots, which will get us 3 blocks. One of those blocks can be used to make the bee, and the other 2 blocks can be used to make the nectar block. From there, we should be able to get basically infinite cobalt from the bee. The only downside, of course, is that as per usual, we might occasionally have to replace some liquid starlight if it does get used up in the craft. Although it looks like, for the most part, it's not really being used up here. All right, and not too long later, we now have 27 cobalt ingots, and I've gone ahead and reset up this setup right here, so it's all working as intended. We're even exporting the aquamarine again, and so now if we need to request more via the system, that will work. Back over here, though, we should be able to craft our cobalt ingots into cobalt blocks. We need 3 of those. We need 1 of those over in the egg-making cage. That's this one right here. And then we need the quartz bee, which is in one of our rooms. I'm pretty sure it's one we got early on. It is indeed. Let's go ahead and take this guy. Let's put this here. Let's quickly grab a dirt and let's do the exchanging gadget on that quartz bee nectar block. It shouldn't take us too long here. We'll do a quick one of these, and then we'll do a quick one of these. Perfect. That's going to allow us to throw down the nether quartz nectar block, and then boom, we'll throw down the nether quartz bee. That shouldn't take too long for him to fly over the block of cobalt, and then over here, we just need to drop the other 2 blocks into here, along with, I assume, some quartz bee combs as well. Let's have a look. In order for you to pollinate, you need the cobalt nectar block. This requires, 2 quartz honeycomb blocks. And so the question then becomes, do we have some of these backlogged in here? This did make things a little easier when it came to making the different nectar blocks because we have usually a decent backlog in some of these machines. Annoyingly, it seems like the system decided that nether quartz were a priority. However, I did just see 3 in there. Perfect. Cool. So we'll throw those in over here. We did move the honey tank over. So that used to be over there. It's now over here. I did replace the one over here. You'll see this is full as well. Moving this over and connecting it via pipe just allows us to do these crafts much more easily. We are after the cobalt bee nectar block start. Over here, we should have our first cobalt bee. We do indeed. Fantastic. And then back over here, let me quickly check actually that the cobalt bee isn't a teleporting bee. I don't think it is, but it's possible it could be. It is not. Perfect. It just can swim, and it has the nether trait. I don't think that means it needs to go in the nether. I think we should be able to house it in one of our apiaries over here. Do we have space? We don't have space in here. We do, though, have space in here. So let's do one of these and one of these. Perfect. So that should start producing cobalt comb blocks, and that's going to give us, in turn, cobalt ingots. Of course, we'll have to set up a new drawer for those cobalt ingots. And I think now we kind of just have to do some more bee breeding. We can unbookmark these. We've got the cobalt bee. We need to get the hepatizen, the manulin, and the queen slime bee, the popped chorus fruit. The chorus bee nectar block, that is. This required some purple blocks, so we are going to have to go to the end to get some chorus fruit awesome purple blocks to make that happen. That should be pretty straightforward. And then, of course, we need to fight the end dragon to get the other 2 there. That also should be fine, though. And so, yeah, what I'm going to do now, real quick, before we go to the end, I will put my quartz bee back. That's a good point, chat. But what I am also going to do is I'm going to go and, I guess, quickly do this, just to make our lives a little easier. I can put it back down without having to break the floor, which is good. But I'm going to go and breed the Hepatizing bee, the Manualing bee, and the Queen Slime bee, and make the associated nectar blocks for each and every one of those bees. And then we'll come back and we'll see about getting the end dragon killed. All right, so not too long later, and I believe we now have all of the Cobalt-based bees down. We've got the Cobalt bee, we've got the Hepatizing bee, we have got the Manualing bee, and we have the Queen Slime bee. All of those, we've got 2 of, all of those are in here, and they're all producing their stuff, and we've got drawers for them up at the top, and so everything is working as intended. So now it's just the 3 end-related bees, that being the Awakened Draconium, the Dragon Egg, and, of course, we need that nectar block for the popped chorus fruit. So to make that happen, we need, I believe, an end cake. The end cake is Eyes of Ender around a regular Minecraft cake. The only part of that we don't have is milk, by the looks of it. If we get 3 buckets of milk from our prisoner cow, we should be able to get a standard Minecraft cake, craft up an end cake, and this should allow us to head on through to the end. Now, I will quickly make some more armor pieces here. We have a very low durability on a few of these. We could also, if we wanted to, look at putting some enchants on this. We do have our enchanting setup over in the corner. I'm not particularly worried. It depends, actually. So we can refill our meat feeder here. That's going to keep us fed, which makes it kind of hard for us to die. However, in this pack, I believe that we have a mod that allows the bosses to get more and more difficult every time you fight them. You may have noticed that every time we've fought the Wither, or every time we've summoned the Wither, it's given us the same kind of pop-up, letting us know that as we continue to fight the Wither over and over again, it gets more difficult. Now, we've not actually fought the Wither, like a single time. We've had our machines kill it. However, I think people will have killed the dragon. Now, I don't know if that progressive difficulty is individual or if it's server-based. If it's individual, we should be fine. It should be a real easy fight. If it's server-based, there's probably quite a few people on the server here who have killed their dragon. Also, we are completely full on storage, which is crazy. I'm not actually quite sure what we've managed to fill that up with. We have to find out and empty things out, and maybe even request another like 16k storage component. That could be tricky, depending on if it has enough space to put the resultant parts back in. It might end up just kind of sticking them in here for the time being, but we'll see about making another disk drive to alleviate that trouble. But I'm not actually quite sure how it's going to work, but we can find out real quick. Let's see about enchanting these. I'm not going to be too picky about it. I don't want to spend as much time as we did with the sentient sword on this, but if we throw in, for example, our boots here, we can go ahead and get protection 4 and unbreaking 4. We can then throw the diamond boots in as well. Blast protection, unbreaking, respiration sounds good. So long as there's nothing actively bad. Stable footing, unbreaking, protection, and fire protection. All of those sound pretty good to me and should make it just a little easier for us to survive. The chat's telling me that we need hunger in order to eat the cake. That might be true, actually. I'm not entirely certain. This looks like it's done. Did we get a 16k drive? We didn't. Okay, so the craft did work. I just had to take some items out of the system to free up some space to make it happen. And so, boom, there we go. We got a 16k drive. That should be enough for us going forward, I hope. Let's see, then. First of all, let's get our cleaver, and let's also get our other sword here. At this point in time, we are at a point where we do have 2.2 million quartz, so we definitely could look at using some of our modifier slots, if we have any, on adding sharpness to make our tool deal more damage. By default, it's got 6. We can take that up, and up, and up. And that looks like the max. Takes up to 9. Not super high, but not super low either. This, of course, is fully juiced out already. We could do with trying... First of all, you do need hunger. Flipping heck. Okay, fine. In that case, that makes it tricky for us to actually use this meat feeder. One thing we could potentially do, because, of course, we can't carry the meat feeder, I don't think, without it working. We need it in our inventory for it to work. And if we need to be able to eat to get there, we need to not be full. One thing we could do here is we could get an ender chest, add a diamond to it, and then also look at getting an ender pouch. We're not currently using the white frequency. The ender pouch here is essentially a portable ender chest, and I think if I shift right click on here, it's going to link to this. And so now if I open this, it opens this, and what we can do is we can just go ahead and put this in, not that, sorry, we can put the meat feeder in there. That's going to allow us to get it when we go through to the end, again, because this is chunk loaded. So we need to run around a little bit, try and lose some of our hunger so that we can eat. Once we eat, we can then go through to the end. We can grab this. We might need some, and by might, I mean almost certainly, we're going to need some end crystals to resummon the end dragon. For that, we need glass, which we can definitely go ahead and request. That's not going to be difficult at all. Let me get 100 maybe. And then we also need some gas tiers, which of course we can make using ender pearls over with our alchemy catalyst at our mana pool. So let's grab, let's say, a stack of those, and then over here, it should just be a case of doing something like this, I guess like this, and like this. Cool. The TNT kicks back into gear, which is what you expect to see. And then back over here, we should now be able to craft up some of the end crystals. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. We are probably going to have to fight more than one end dragon. And we might have to do some exploration as well. So chorus we can search for. We can try and find either some purple blocks or some chorus to craft into purple blocks so that we can make the chorus bee nectar block. The dragon egg bee here requires a dragon head. It's another one of those that we have to make using the spawn egg, and we need a dragon head. So I'm going to take my cleaver. I'm going to try and kill the dragon with the cleaver. You don't have to do all the damage with the cleaver, just the finishing blow to try and get the dragon head. If we don't get a dragon head from the dragon, we could fly around and try and find some end chips to see if we can get a dragon head from those. Again, ideally, we want to get 2 dragon heads so we can make 2 dragon bee spawn eggs, but potentially even more than that, because if we're going to put down multiple dragon bees, we want them in as many apiaries as possible. We might even need more dragon heads than that, so we're really going to have to see on that one. As far as the Awakened Draconium goes, the dragon heart here should be dropped when we kill the end dragon. That should be fairly straightforward. And so, yeah, let's see if we can't quickly get rid of our remaining hunger, and then we'll head on through and see if we can't fight this end dragon and hopefully win. All right, so not too long later, we've been taking damage in the smeltery here to speed up our hunger loss. Let's head on through. Then let's use our pouch here to take our meat feeder back. Probably didn't need this much stuff in our inventory. We can put a lot of it into this pouch, though, to safely store it in the overworld, basically so we don't lose it if we die, which is probably ideal. And then let's go see, I guess, if we can't kill this dragon. So I'm hopeful that the dragon is not going to be particularly difficult here. I'm hopeful that we get kind of a vanilla dragon fight. There are a lot of eggs here. People have clearly fought this dragon many, many times. That's fine. We could also maybe done with some kind of bow. I don't know how good our damage is going to be. Like how much damage we're going to take if we go and try and break one of these just on its own. Seemingly not that much, actually. So, you know what? Let me grab those end crystals. Let's give it a go. And we can always retry if we lose. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Perfect. The dragon is back. We can then go and start getting rid, of course, of all of the crystals. It looks like there are a lot of crystals bouncing around, which is surprising. I don't know if that's like, again, I don't know if that's a thing that's due to the difficulty. Like if you have to break each one multiple times, it's possible we're in for a very difficult dragon fight here. I'm hopeful that's not the case. I'm hopeful that the difficulty doesn't increase no matter who fights it. If it does, that's very unfortunate. But we'll see. We'll know, I guess, if the dragon kind of like one-hit kills us. Because like these, yeah, that doesn't fill me with confidence. The fact that we don't really take much damage is good. Okay, so we've killed all of the crystals. Those are all gone. Let's go see about attacking this guy. There is more damage on our cleaver than there is on our regular sword, but the regular sword can hit faster. That looks like a normal amount of health for the dragon. It doesn't look particularly high. Given how few hits we're getting in, it might not be a terrible idea to try with the cleaver here. Although, I feel like I was having more luck. Ooh. Oh, okay, so it does look like there are... Yeah, no, this is definitely a more difficult... Like, it's definitely a tweaked end dragon fight, because it looks like there are more crystals inside of the tower, which is not good given how low... Oh, hello, this is going to be useful for us, though. It's not ideal given how low our pickaxe durability is. The fact that we've got low pickaxe durability makes it very difficult for us to break any of the crystals that are inside of the pillars, which doesn't really leave us much in the way of ability to kill this dragon outside of just being faster than the crystal, which we are ever so slightly, but as soon as it starts flying again, it's going to regenerate its health, which is really not ideal. I don't really know what we can do with that. I assume the pillar's not hollow. I assume we'd have to find the specific point at which we'd have to specifically find where the crystal is. Like, we can kind of see that by where the beam is coming from, but my pickaxe is just fully broken at this point, and I don't have any string on me. It is string that we can use to refill it. It looks like if the dragon, it doesn't look like each pillar has one, so as long as the dragon is far away, it looks like for the most part it's fine. But still not ideal, because it fills up its hearts so fast. Hey! Okay, so we did manage to get the last hit off with the cleaver. I'm not sure how or if that's going to help us with the head. There's the heart that we need. That did take way longer than it needed to. There's a couple of recommendations I would make if you're playing this pack to make your life just a little easier. Recommendation number 1 is bring a pickaxe that's not broken, because that will help you getting rid of the crystals in the end pillars, and it'll mean that you don't have to spend 40 minutes trying to kill him whilst he's regenerating. Number 2 would be that if you have the option to, like we do, we should have just upgraded our, oh, here is the head, perfect. We should have just upgraded our sword. We fought with an iron sword, despite the fact that we've just spent 600 hours making like hepatizen bees and manulin bees and queen slime bees. We could have made a more powerful sword head to fight the dragon, but we did manage to do it, and so we do now have 1 dragon head as well as a dragon heart. So if we head back, that should now be us able to do a few things. If we want to get the dragon egg bee, what do you pollinate on? The dragon egg bee nectar block, obviously. We need 2 dragon eggs and 2 end honeycomb blocks. This should be fine. There's a ton of dragon eggs over in the end. We can go take those, and we can use the end honeycomb block as well. That's completely fine. In terms of the awakened draconium here, this should also be completely fine now that we have the dragon heart. So let's put this down over in here. I'm fairly certain this recipe just requires the wyvern. It does. We then need 6 draconium cores and 4 blocks of draconium. That is completely fine. The draconium blocks we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and the draconium cores we don't have. We got 3 out of the 6 that we need, and we are just missing a few more of these Fluix steel ingots. I do think, though, that yes, over here, Isaac of the Past did prepare for such an endeavor, and 1, 2, 3, that's all of the draconium cores that we need. And so now, if we do all of these, again, these are set to stack mode by default, which is not what I want. I want these in single item mode, just because it makes it easier for me to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then in here, we throw our 4 draconium blocks and craft. So that's going to get us the awakened draconium. Is 4 blocks of awakened draconium going to be enough to get the awakened draconium bee? So we can use 2 blocks here to get 2 awakened draconium bee spawn eggs, and then I'm assuming 2 more blocks to make the awakened draconium bee nectar block. We can, so 4 is the perfect number. We do need 2 draconium bee nectar blocks, which we don't have in here, but we probably will have hiding out somewhere around here. It's just finding them, because all of the bees now, oh, of course, our draconium bees teleported away, which is not ideal. We might have to get more draconium bees to make this happen, and we also are going to need to set up the beacon that stops the bees from teleporting away, because this awakened draconium bee also has the ender bee trait. So there's the awakened draconium blocks. I don't think that we have a draconium bee, right? Oh, no, we do. We have 1 spare. Perfect. That's actually very useful. That means that we can, in fact, real quick, grab some string. We can use that string to repair our pickaxe so it's not fully broken. Fantastic. I'll leave that in there for now. And then what we should be able to do is, just like before, we can grab some dirt. We can use our exchanging gadget, which is currently hiding out in our pouch right here. Let's do this, and let's quickly do one of these. We'll do one of these, and then hopefully, oh, of course, I need to pick this up first, otherwise it won't work. Let's try that one more time. Boom. Boom. I'll put 2 of these down, and I guess really what we want to do now is invest in the Ender Beacon. The Ender Beacon here does consume honey, but we have essentially endless honey coming from our endless number of centrifuges, and we just need to pipe that around into the beacon. Now, of course, again, this does require purple blocks, and so the final thing we really need to do back over in the end is go and find either some purple blocks or some chorus fruit so that we can get both the end beacon down to stop all of our bees teleporting away, because the dragon egg bee here also, I believe, has the Ender trait. Unfortunately, it does, which means that it is also going to teleport away, which is not ideal. I do want to keep an eye on this because I don't want this Draconium bee to teleport out and then teleport away. So I want to keep an eye on it, get the egg, pick this guy up, and then we'll head back through to the end and see if we can't find some purple blocks. So the Twitch chat has actually made a good suggestion here that it might not be a terrible idea to get the dislocator, specifically the advanced dislocator here from Draconic Evolution. This is a pretty nifty item in that it's going to allow us to teleport back and forth to the end without having to worry about the end kick. In fact, the non-advanced version might do this for us. Sneak right-click to bind your current X, Y, and Z coordinates as well as the direction you're facing and the dimension you are currently in. I believe the advanced dislocator allows you to set multiple locations that you can teleport to, whereas the regular dislocator might only do one, but I think that might be fine. What we might need to do here, I've put the meat feeder back in the end pouch so that it's not feeding us again. We're going to have to quickly lose some more of our hunger so that we can eat the cake again to go back through to the end, but then we should be able to use this dislocator here to allow us to teleport back to the end repeatedly without having to eat the cake every time. I think the general principle here, if we shift right click with this is now bound, and so now if I do a quick /home, I think from home, I should be able to just right click with this, and it takes me back. There are only 32 uses, which again, I think is something that is not a problem with the advanced dislocator, but I don't know if we're going to need to come back more than 32 times. Famous last words, I guess, but I think we should be able to make that work. And so now, I guess let's quickly go back because we need some ender pearls in order for us to be able to go through some of these end portals, but let's see if we can't find some chorus fruit or some purple blocks. All right, the first portal we went through takes us to some chorus fruit here. This is actually completely fine. Let's turn off the jetpack, and we should be able to turn this into popped chorus fruit, which we can then use for purple blocks, right? We can take this, we can smelt it, and then we can craft it. Yeah, that's all we need. Fantastic. That's going to allow us to not only get ourselves the nectar block for the chorus bee, of course, but it's also going to allow us to get that dragon nectar block as well. We do also need to get the dragon eggs, and so real quick, let's go do that. So back over here at the ender spawn, we can teleport these eggs away, and then once they're teleported away, we should be able to use a torch here, right? To get these back. I think there's a few options. I think if you're fast enough, you don't have to leave a 1-block gap like this, but either way, there's our first egg, and over here is going to be our second egg. This Enderman is not happy with me at all. Can I do this? No? What about this? That did work. Perfect. Okay, fine. Cool. So 2 dragon eggs is going to get us the nectar block, right? Yes. We might need to come back for more if we end up making more nectar blocks, but I think for now, this is fine. So back over here at home, let's do some quick smelting factory action on the chorus here. We probably don't need this much chorus, but I'm not really too worried about it because we're going to get infinite chorus once we get our bees up and running. And so let's do something like this. As far as the chorus bee nectar block, this right here requires 2 end honeycomb. The end honeycomb we may or may not have up in here. It depends on when we made the end honeycomb. That's iron honeycomb, gold honeycomb, nether quartz honeycomb. Okay, so I ended up just taking out the distributor module here that we're using to collect the combs because it was proving a little tricky to grab them without it, but we can now put that back in. Let's go start distributing again. Back over here, we should now have everything we need if we put in 2 purple blocks and 2 end honeycomb blocks to make the chorus nectar block. Cool. Good. We can unbookmark that now because that is done. I'm hopeful that we've got enough space because I put the chorus fruits in, but I actually don't know if I left a spot for the chorus bee nectar block. So the chorus bees are in here. I did leave a spot right in the middle for their combs. Perfect. Let's do this and let's do this. Cool. So they're going to start producing their wares. We probably do need to put chorus fruit. Is that the only product that we get? What do these guys produce? They produce the combs. The combs get turned into chorus fruit and chorus flowers. So we need 2 compacting drawers for all of that stuff. That is fine. We can get another compacting drawer in just a second. The awakened draconium we have, temporarily I've blocked in the other draconium bee just because he wasn't coming out and I didn't want him to teleport away. So he is just kind of sitting inside of that hive currently. If you could not blow up, that would be perfect. Fantastic. All right. So that's taken care of. Now, this dragon bee. So the dragon bee spawn egg, this one right here, is the end bee over the dragon head. So the dragon head we have, let me go ahead and get rid of this block of dirt. We'll hopefully see our draconium bee come out at some point. We'll throw the dragon head down, let's say right about here. That thing's massive. We'll then get rid of this nectar block. We'll go put that back in where it needs to go. And then we'll also go and grab our end bee, I guess, that is currently sitting in here. We'll steal you, and we'll also go ahead and quickly exchange this. And hopefully that's going to get us our first dragon bee egg. Let's do this. Again, hopefully that guy's going to come out momentarily, and we'll be able to capture him with our jar. And then from there, it's just a case of making the nectar block, which is 2 more end honeycombs, which we have, along with 2 dragon eggs, which we actually already have. So over here, if we do 2 of these and 2 of these, that should be everything. But the server is about to restart, and so we'll do that when we come back. And one quick server restart later, we now have everything for the dragon bee nectar block. This might be the first time we have the nectar block before the actual bee itself, surprisingly. I'm also going to sleep real quick, just so we can skip through to the day, so that hopefully our Draconium bee comes out, and we'll now look at trying to get the beacon here that's going to allow us to actually make some of these combs without our bee teleporting away. That's the plan here. I'm hopeful that I can just leave this guy in here, and we should come back to our first dragon egg bee spawn egg very shortly. Over here, this is done. Dragon bee nectar block, fantastic. So let's go ahead and I guess use the same apiary, this one over here. We'll put the Draconium block back in here as well. And we'll also throw down the dragon bee nectar block as well for now. So the ender beacon here is actually pretty straightforward. Nice. We just have to send honey over to it. So what we'll do is we'll put this down, let's say here. I don't think the bees are going to be able to like fly through the hole in the floor. And so I'm fairly certain that what we should be able to do is get ourselves some more fluid pipes and then use that down underground to connect the ender beacon over to the honey line. And again, because this is just round robin, not nearest first, it should just start getting some honey in the same way that the trash can's getting honey, in the same way that everything else is getting honey from all of these centrifuges. And you'll see that instantly this thing has filled up. And so is active is set to no. Range 10 blocks. Oh, so we can increase the range on that to 50, which is interesting, actually. That does increase its drain to 2 millibuckets per tick, which I think is probably fine. We can turn off the beacon or not there. Interesting. It says, is active no. I don't know if I have to give this a redstone signal or something, or if I just have to, oh, I see. I can give it regeneration, fire resistance, calming, or water breathing. Is calming what I need here? Probably. Okay, let's put this down. And we'll see if that works. I do still want to get another Draconium bee so we can get back up to the 2 we had initially. That is my plan. Over here, do we have our first dragon egg bee spawn egg? We do indeed. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and drop that down over here as well. Boom. That's going to get us our first dragon eggs. Back over here, we do need to get another couple of compacting drawers. We needed 1 for the chorus flower. We then need at least 1 for the dragon egg and 1 for the awakened Draconium, for 3 more in total. Might as well go ahead and make a 4th one, just because that's going to fill up the line at the top of this new row of drawers over here. So if we do a quick 1, 2, 3, 4, we can then hopefully grab some chorus fruit, which I assume is maybe clogged up somewhere. It is indeed. We'll take that and add it to the wall. And then as the dragon egg combs get processed, and as the Draconium gets processed, we can start getting those as well. I guess for now, are you being pulled into here? This is pulling from all of these. I'm going to take that out temporarily because we actually want to store the Draconium comb blocks because we need to use those to make the awakened Draconium. Back over here, we need to throw... Oh no, we already have these. I forgot. Isaac of the Past, again, being incredibly helpful here. He set those aside earlier because I knew I needed them for this. Let's go ahead and do this and this. In that case, I don't need to take this distributor module out at all. I can go ahead and put that back into here and get that going right away. And so back over here, this is done. Fantastic. We can go and put this in with these bees. We'll put you down here. And then from there, we should be able to release both of our awakened Draconium bees. And that should start producing all of the stuff we need. I think with that, we have every single bee that we need, at least. It might also be every single bee in the pack, but I think we have all of the bees that we listed in the last episode up, running, and producing goods for us. And hopefully, we just saw some dragon egg combs getting taken out. Whether or not we're going to get any dragon eggs from that is kind of to be seen. Because again, it's only a 1% chance, which is not great. And so it could take a little bit of time before we actually get any dragon eggs and before we can actually get any into the wall here. The Awakened Draconium also going to take a little bit of time, just 'cause it's only a 10% chance, but hopefully should come in about 10 times faster than the dragon eggs. We do want to get another one, so we are going to have to go find another dragon head or fight the end dragon again to get another one. That shouldn't be too difficult for us, though. And then at that point, it's really a question of whether or not... Oh, this is interesting. It's really a question of whether or not we want to put down more of all these bees. Given the 50 block range on this, we could potentially even move it to the center and kind of cover everything here to stop them from teleporting. And at that point, we could quite easily look at putting, you know, one of the dragon egg bees into each and every one of the apiaries, which could be useful, potentially 2 dragon egg bees into each and every apiary. The only tricky part then is getting enough dragon heads, right? It's whether or not we just fight the dragon over and over again, or if we just go back and try and find some end ships to get those dragon heads, because those, I think, are really the only 2 options for getting more dragon heads, unfortunately. And yeah, it's really going to be that I think is the limiting factor, because of the fact that there is the dragon egg singularity, and we need 3,000 dragon eggs per singularity, and I think we needed 47 singularities in total, so 141,000 dragon eggs at a 1% chance. That means that we need approximately 14 million combs to be processed, which is quite a lot of combs. It's quite a lot of combs to be processed. So we could probably do with many, many more dragon bees to get those in like a reasonable period of time. But there is other stuff that we're going to work on whilst we wait for that to come in. There are, of course, other singularities that we can start making. We can start making all the other ones and then come back to the dragon one at the end. We can also, of course, probably in the next episode, look at getting this first ultimate ingot here. Again, all of this stuff is coming in now. And I think really it's just the block of Valdanium at the end here that isn't bee made. I think everything else here is made by bees, and we should have it just in the system ready to go. There are things like conduits here that we have to craft because we have the Nautilus shell and the Heart of the Sea, but we don't have the actual finished product. There's also these blocks of bitumen, which are a little tricky as well. These require 9 bitumen, and the bitumen is made by putting the bituminous sand into a centrifugal separator to get the bitumen. We have the sand, the bituminous sand is right here. We have to process it through that somewhat slow thermal expansion machine to get the bitumen and then craft it into blocks and then export it either to the ultimate ingot and then also after that to the bituminous singularity as well. So there's a little bit of work to do on that front, and of course just all of the stuff we need to make. We could also do, of course, as we mentioned before, with getting that creative fluid tank so that we can then use that to get unlimited netherite, because we can then use that netherite to make the netherite singularity much more easily without having to process 140,000 netherite blocks through our pre-existing system, which I think would work, but would just be very, 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 very slow, which is not ideal at all. There's our first Awakened Draconium. Fantastic. We'll get that into its own drawer. Between streams, I'll keep an eye on this. I'll try and get any dragon eggs that we find into their own drawer as well, although I don't think that between now and the next episode, we're really going to get too many dragon eggs that it blocks up any one of these centrifuges. The Twitch chat does make a good point, actually, in that I think you do need... Do we have any dragon blocks hanging around somewhere in here? Like the dragon nectar blocks? Because the problem that we might run into is that I think the dragon honeycomb blocks do require bottles in the centrifuge for them to work. If there's no bottles in there, then yeah, right here, we've got them, they just don't process, which is really awkward. It makes it even more awkward because we need to take glass bottles and we need to send them automatically around into here. Otherwise, this doesn't work. This is going to produce dragon's breath for us, and it's going to put it into the system. It also, by the looks of it, is going to use it to make honey bottles as well. It looks like the dragon's breath is a much higher chance. You got a 50-50 to get the dragon's breath. So I guess we do want to draw for this, for the dragon's breath, because that's going to start getting imported. We do, of course, want to upgrade all of these as well, which we've not done yet, but we definitely will do. All of these, by the way, are fully upgraded with void upgrades and all of the storage upgrades. We want to do the same thing with our top drawers here. We, in that case, probably want to set up maybe a dedicated centrifuge for the dragon honeycomb blocks, because you'll see that if there are bottles in there, all of the other combs will use those bottles to put honey in, which is not ideal. And so what we're probably going to want to do is set up another centrifuge at the front, get another modular router, have that modular router pull exclusively dragon combs into that centrifuge, and then export, using another export cable, glass bottles continuously to that centrifuge. Again, that shouldn't be too difficult. We can definitely look at getting another exporter with another crafting card. Our system already knows how to make glass. Teaching it how to make glass bottles should be as simple as encoding this recipe, and because we already know how to turn sand into glass, and because we're already getting basically unlimited sand from our sand bee, that should be everything to automate the production of glass bottles. And then if we get an exporter, we can just export those glass bottles automatically, and hopefully that should just work. Let's request a formation core. Let's get another export bus. What I'll do temporarily here is I'll get another modular router, and we will go ahead, and I think we'll just kind of take this one out of rotation. So let me grab the initial guy here, and then this never works for me, but I guess this time it did work. Fantastic. We'll put that back in. So now it shouldn't send anything over here. That's fine. We'll let these run dry. Then we'll go ahead and put another modular router here. This one will just use a puller and sender module. So we'll take one of those, and we'll take one of these. I'm going to quickly wipe those just in case they have anything on them, and we'll set that to pull from here. We are going to specifically pull just the dragon combs, and I guess that's something we're probably going to have to blacklist on the other filter, actually. Over here, we've got this that pulls from apiary storage. In here, I think we want to blacklist the dragon combs so that those dragon combs don't get sent anywhere else. We want them exclusively in our first apiary. So let's put that in here. In fact, I didn't need a sender module. I just needed the puller module, right, to pull from that guy. That's perfect. Boom. This is already configured. Fantastic. That's going to go ahead. Oh, and I do need the sender module. The sender module is going to send down like that. Perfect. So that should send those over to here. It does indeed. Fantastic. And yeah, that should just work. Then all we have to do from there is throw down our exporter like this, grab some Fluix cable, and also get ourselves another crafting card, neither of which should be too difficult. Boom, and boom. Let's do this and this. Hopefully we've got enough channels. If that goes blue, then we do. If it stays pink, then we don't. It does indeed. Fantastic. And then let's go ahead and throw in the crafting card and the glass bottle. That should go ahead and start exporting and crafting more of them, which is perfect. I'm going to take these out because I don't really want those making any honey bottles for us. That is not what I'm after. But this should now do the trick. Again, it's still very unlikely that we get any dragon heads anytime soon. But the good news is that this is going to start actually producing those for us, and it should stay full of glass bottles, and it should allow us to actually start backing up on dragon heads at some point in the future. We do need so many of them. It's going to take so long. Again, I think we probably will have to look at getting multiple dragon bees down as well. We've not got a single one. That's crazy. But yeah, this is working. Between streams, I'll go ahead and I'll set up another elite centrifuge to make up for the one that we just got rid of. I might even set up another one after that, maybe two more to make it symmetrical as well. But yeah, that's good. Cool. Next time, we'll come back. I need to put a torch down, actually, real quick over on that little area over there, because that is currently harboring mobs, which is not what I want. Over here, let's do this, and let's do this. Cool. So yeah, next time we'll come back and we will look at pushing forward with the extended crafting questline, but that is a problem for future Isaac. For now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of Sky Bees 2 there.